Today we are jumping on to Escape from Tarkov's PVE mode so that I can showcase off some of the weapons that I've been using within the game that have done me really well for a variety of different reasons, both for fun as well as generally just being pretty effective at what they do. So let's jump in and take a look at the weapons that I typically use. Now, I'm not saying that these builds and the things that I'm using on them are the most effective when it comes to the actual performance. However, when it comes to the main characteristics of the weapons, they are very good. And of course, we are going to start off with the HK. There's a reason why, and that is because 5.56 is just very easy to find within the game, and you can run some very nice ammunition, things like M995, which you can farm really easily. And if you haven't already seen the God tier ammunition guide, I will leave a link at the end of this video, which you can take a look at. So that you can farm up the ammunition to make these really effective. You can see level 5 penetration on the M995 rounds with 42 damage per one, meaning you head tap everything in the game except from some of the bosses, which are pretty much a 2-tap. But with the penetration, you can 2-tap even the heaviest of armor of bosses, things like Killer and Tagilla within the game. But the HK we are running with a 60 rounder. It is pretty much my bog standard weapon of choice for, you know, when you've got to do the slog tasks, the ones where maybe you got to take out 20 scavs in a raid. We run them with 60 rounders, so carrying around one on me, one in the backpack, and then a couple of 30 rounders, or you know, you can run a 60 rounder. If I'm running on a map that, you know, you don't get the ammunition or the stuff back, so things like lab or the labyrinth in the game, then I will run 2 60 rounders and 2 30 rounders, and that pretty much does me just enough. And then we run a couple of rounds in the backpack just in case, or the pouch. But really good main armament. Of course, we're running it with the Tango on the top. Now, this obviously can be swapped out for something like a Voodoo or whatever your preferred scope is. It is really down to personal preference. But we want to limit the vertical recoil and horizontal recoil as much as possible. So that's kind of what we're going for, along with a decent amount of ergonomics. Now, you can get this certainly way higher dependent on the build that you're doing. But yeah, an overround kind of my go-to main weapon that I'm going to use in most of the raids, simply because of its versatility, and it's quite short, which means you don't get cramped up against any of the corners in the game. Of course, we aren't running a suppressor on most of the weapons now, because I don't feel like the AI really reacts any more differently when you do use a suppressor to when you don't. So there's not really a point to using one, in my opinion. So the only real benefit is maybe reduced kind of vertical recoil, but most of the time, you know, it's not that much useful. And with a lot of the muzzle brakes that you can get in the game anyway, they can combat that in most regards anyway, and you don't get the ergo penalty of using a suppressor. Then we use the SR3M. Now, this is my fun weapon. Pretty much running SP6 in this thing. SP5 does fine as well, but the reason why I like this is just high fire rate, very nice rounds with the SP6. We haven't got them in there at the moment, but SP6 in this thing, running it with, of course, a decent scope. So the Voodoo on this one, 30 rounders, pretty much works really well. It's fun, and it's cool to use. We run it with the suppressor on it. So that works really well against the AI within the game. It just melts through them. The only issue you'll find with these things is because of the rate of fire. The durability of these weapons is not particularly the greatest. So yeah, you're just outputting a lot of rounds, and it heats up very quickly, which means your durability can end up getting absolutely stuffed. So not the best in that department, but it is a ton of fun and it sounds really cool. That's kind of why I run it. Nothing more than that, and the pen on the SP6 with the damage is incredible. SP5 here goes through level 2 and 3, so not great, but it does 71 damage. The SP6 does slightly less damage, but it goes through like level 6 pen, or level 5, I believe. So that is really, really useful. And just for sake, I will unload and we'll load it up with SP6. And you can see the pen on SP6 right here. Level 4 with a level 5 high pen. So very, very nice with 60 damage, and it causes heavy and light bleeding as well. So it's just amazing for taking out the AI. It works really well. Then we head on into the Uzi Pro SMG. This is kind of my factory run weapon that I use just because the rate of fire, incredible, 1075 rounds a minute. We do run this with AP most of the time, AP 6.3, or, you know, running it with the best ammunition you have, PvP as well, but that gets very, very expensive in this thing because of the rate of fire. So yeah, not particularly the most fun for your bank account, and it's kind of hard to get PvP as well. AP 6.3 you can actually find in raids, so that's a little bit easier. Does slightly more damage, but both work really, really well. In the Uzi, you're pretty much going for just slamming them with as many rounds as possible with that one. Then we have the Sig MCX 300, which is ran with essentially AP ammo, so 300 blackout AP. Once again, farmed from labs. And you can farm it in quite high quantities. It spawns quite often, especially if you're hitting up Red Room as well. We didn't cover that in the video, but that is pretty much another room that does have a ton of ammunition, and we've opened it up a lot. So at the time before I was running Labyrinth, we had like 2,000 rounds of blackout AP. We're down to about 100 now because I was just farming Labyrinth for a ton of time. But yeah, really, really good ammunition, deals decent damage, has really high pen, and with the 300 blackout MCX, you got 800 rounds a minute, which is nice. Pretty decent ergo and recoil pattern as well, so it works really, really nice against the AI and the high tier bosses as well. So it's once again a bit more of a versatile weapon than the Uzi, the SR3M. That's kind of what I use. Sniper wise, obviously you can just go with whatever sniper you want, but I usually run this on maps during nighttime raids and on Lighthouse if I'm trying to take out the goons, and if I'm trying to take out the rooftop kind of raiders or rogues even that do spawn on Lighthouse. Running this with the Flare just to give it a bit of an advantage in my raids. Now during the raids I can take off the Flare and then grab up my main weapon, and we just pop that on there, and then we swap back and forth if we wanted to. Really easy to do, and essentially just something that I will do pretty much every raid when I do run Lighthouse, taking out the rogues, unless I just go in, which is also fine as well. But the SV98, a more accessible one for people to use. And yeah, you can mod this pretty well and get some decent stats for it. The only issue is of course you do have the AXMC, which is somewhere down here, which can be used, but it's once again very, very expensive and difficult to actually run quite often, if that makes sense, because it has 338 Lapua Magnum, which is of course one of the best games rounds in the game, but it is very expensive to run, and most people don't have access to this in the game in the first place. So yeah, accessibility definitely a thing for a lot of people, and just having the rounds available to you without doing some of the high tier kind of quest lines and that sort of stuff. And then finally, as the final one of this one, we have a weapon that I don't actually have at the moment, but it is the PPSH, which is genuinely one of my favorite weapons to use. It's mega cheap, and this thing melts through even bosses, even killer to giller. This thing, if you're using this 70 round mags on the PPSH, it just shreds. And if you're going for leg meta, it is insanely good because you can run some high tier like rip ammo or whatever, or the LRN even, and you can go straight through the legs and it sinks people so quick. Or you can just go with penetration rounds and go for thorax level and head level to remove people from the game very easily. And it's mega cheap to run. It's accessible from everyone straight from the start of PVE, and I think for the standout weapon, of choice when you start the game. It is very, very good. Basically, just farm factory with this thing, get a ton of gear and loot, and then rounds from the PMCs and the AI within there, and then you can start snowballing into doing all of the different quests in the game. It really works well. Maybe run like 10 factory raids at the beginning with this thing, and you'll be absolutely set to rock on with all of the quest lines. So yeah, it works really, really well. And I just find it a ton of fun. I think fun is also an impact on what you're running, and yeah, that is kind of my main weapons that I use within Escape from Tarkov's PvE mode. I'm sure some of you are going to say, well, actually you could change the build or whatever slightly more. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Of course, you can change things for long distance and that sort of stuff, but they suit me very, very well. I never really have any problems with them. But yes, there are definitely better builds and people who do better builds on the actual weapons, but you can go check out specific ones on that if you want to find it. But these were just the ranges of things that I use most often. Don't really like the spear. It's not particularly my favorite one. And the fact that you can only get limited amount of mags for that thing without doing Lightkeeper and level him up is also an issue for most people as well. So using the spear, realistically, you're not going to have enough funds or enough rounds to be able to do that effectively. But there you go. That's the things I use. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. If you have any other suggestions, things you like using within the game, then feel free to let other people know as well, as this is not an extensive list, but it's just the ones that I use personally on PvE, and hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.